We're going to conduct our legislative caucus prior to the start of our legislative session. So I will call the meeting to order. Mr. Truesdale will call the roll. The invocation this evening will be led by Councilman Lawson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilwoman Green. For communications this evening, we will recognize Tri-County Community Action's 14th Annual Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup. We are joined by Molly Lindquist, Director of Community Development, Serena Asakami? Okay. Chief Program Officer, she will correct me with her last name, and Darius Davenport, Community Planning Director, who will share a presentation. Then we will open the floor for courtesy of the floor, followed by the approval of the minutes for the legislative session that occurred on March 24th, 2026. You will hear 3 committee reports this evening. I will deliver the first report on behalf of the Administration Committee on the work session of April 7th, 2026. Next, Chair Lawson will deliver the report on behalf of the Community and Economic Development Committee on the work session of April 7th, 2026. And Chair Rawls will deliver the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee report on the work session of April 7th, 2026. We do not have any ordinances for first reading. We have one ordinance for amendment, Bill 5 of 2026. One ordinance for final passage, Bill 5 of 2026, which we will vote upon. Then we'll move to resolutions. Resolution 20 of 2026, we will vote upon. Resolution 21 of 2026, we will vote upon. Resolution 22 of 2026, we will vote upon. Resolution 23 of 2026, we will suspend the rules for discussion, and then we will vote upon Resolution 23 of 2026 this evening. Resolution 24 of 2026 will move to the Public Works Committee. Resolution 25 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 26 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 27 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 28 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 29 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 30 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 31 of 2026 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Resolution 32 of 2026 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Resolution 33 of 2026 will move to the Public Works Committee. Resolution 34 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. And Resolution 35 of 2026 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Is there any old business for discussion, council members? Okay, any new business? Okay, and then we will adjourn. The time is 6:14 p.m. I would like to call our legislative session to order. Please note for the meeting record that Harrisburg City Council hosted an executive session prior to the start of this executive session this legislative session to discuss legal matters. Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Davis?
Present.
Ms. Green?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Lawson?
Here.
Ms. Rawls?
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Hill.
Present. Thank you. The invocation will be led by Councilman Lawson.
Thank you, President Hill. As we get to the warmer weather, as we're feeling it now, as you walk outside, I want to take a moment. We're walking into prom season. We're walking into graduations very soon. I want to uplift the youth of this city. Let them know that they are beautiful, wonderful, and we need them. If ever they feel alone, they need to know that we as a council, as a city, stand behind them. And I just want to make sure that we exude support for the youth of our city as we get to these summer months. So if we just take a moment and I guess bask in the pride of our youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lawson. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilwoman Green. Thank you, Councilwoman Green. For communications this evening, we are joined by Tri-County Community Action to discuss their 14th annual Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup. Everyone's not going to join you? Okay, they said no. Can you please turn your microphone on and closer, much closer to you? You can move it.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Good evening, Council President Hill and distinguished members of Harrisburg City Council. Thank you for your kind invitation and the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Molly Lindquist, and I am proud to serve as the new Director of Community Development at Tri-County Community Action. This is a role that I stepped into just last month. With me tonight are Serena Asacomhe, Chief Program Officer, and Darius Davenport, Community Planning Coordinator. It is through our Community Development Department and our commitment to neighborhood revitalization that we come before you today. On Saturday, April 25th this year, Tri-County Community Action will host the 14th annual Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup from 8 to 11 a.m. As an affiliate of both Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful, we're proud to carry on this tradition of community-led environmental stewardship. This year's cleanup will span 3 neighborhoods, Allison Hill, Midtown, and Uptown, bringing volunteers together to take visible, collective action on litter and illegal dumping across the city. Last year, more than 400 participants came together and collected over 6.4 tons of trash, a powerful testament to what this community can accomplish when we work together. We're aiming at building on that momentum this year. Both individuals and groups are welcome, and we ask that everyone register in advance so you can use the QR code up there, but there's also on the website. We're deeply grateful for this council's continued commitment to the city of Harrisburg, and we would welcome your encouragement and your presence on April 25th. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And can you share the website just in case someone may have missed it and they're interested in registering?
No problem. cactricounty.org/events. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for coming this evening. We will now move forward with our meeting agenda and open the floor for courtesy of the floor. Just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. If you're interested in offering any public comments, we ask that you please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Truesdale has added a timer to the screen for your reference. Now begin to my right. Is there anyone that would like to offer public comment? Seeing and hearing no one, anyone in the middle section? Okay. Seeing and hearing no one, anyone to my left? Seeing and hearing no one, we will move forward with our meeting agenda. Next, we have the approval of the minutes for the legislative session that occurred on March 24th, 2026. Council members, are there any revisions to those meeting minutes? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Next, we have the reports of committees. I will deliver the first report on behalf of the Administration Committee on the work session of April 7th, 2026. On Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, the Administration Committee met to discuss one bill and one resolution. Bill 5 of 2026 is an ordinance for giving and discharging 2024 and 2025 city real estate taxes, including interest, penalties, and costs, and striking off tax liens for certain historically tax-exempt properties. And Resolution 22 of 2026, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with McCormick Law Firm to serve as special counsel for the purpose of reviewing and revising the city's business, privilege, and mercantile tax ordinance and related regulations. City Solicitor Neil Grover was present to discuss Bill 5 of 2026. Solicitor Grover shared that the Pentecost Redeemer Church had been operating since 2017. Unfortunately, they did not timely respond to the filing. So to date, they continue to operate and they are exempt for tax years 2024 and 2025. Council members asked the following question: what facilities get exempt from taxes? Solicitor Grover responded that facilities that are tax exempt could include constitutionally authorized government property for public use, hospitals, churches, religious-owned facilities, senior centers that are publicly funded. Next, we had Resolution 22 of 2026. Mr. Mike Hughes, Business Tax Administrator, and Nick Grimes, Attorney with McCormick Law Firm, were present to discuss Resolution 22 of 2026. Mr. Hughes explained that there is a new draft of rules and regulations that's needed and that they would be completed by the law firm. Council members asked a number of questions. First, the timeline for these services. Attorney Grimes shared that January 1st of 2027 was the final deadline to be effective for the next tax year. Solicitor Grover shared that the draft will be prepared prior to the budget. Specific areas that are pertinent to updating the rules and regulations, as the last update was in 2001. There were examples to better guide taxpayers by bringing the document current. There was a question related to clarifying the fee proposal. So the fee proposal is $250 an hour for attorneys and $150 per hour for paralegals. Attorney Grimes wasn't able to provide a clear overall budget of what would be assumed with that fee proposal. I think he would have a better idea once he and the paralegals began the work. What qualifies as a public charity? Interstate commerce sales, an automatic update. As I've noted before, it was written in 2001. It took effect in January of 2002. An automatic update would be too stringent and there's no mandate. The question was asked of Solicitor Grover, why did you choose McCormick? He shared that it's important to affiliate with a firm that has specialty in this particular area. It was also noted that McCormick Law on their website was rated a best law firm for 2026. Why was it important to contract with outside counsel? And the response was, this is not the Law Bureau's area of expertise. Have you seen in other municipalities a tiered taxation and collection process? Attorney Grimes shared that a tiered service or physical scales vary, but he has not seen it in his practice. I recommend that my colleagues support Bill 5 of 2026, as we have done for other churches in the city of Harrisburg here recently, and Resolution 22 of 2026, as it provides an opportunity for our, for our business privilege and mercantile tax to become current, because it's 2001, 2002, it's time. So I'm hopeful that my colleagues will support both Bill 5 of 2026 and Resolution 22 of 2026. This concludes the report for the Administration Committee. The next report you will hear will be delivered by Chair Lawson on behalf of the Community and Economic Development Committee on the work session of April 7th, 2026.
Thank you, President Hill. The Community and Economic Development Committee reviewed resolution. I forget the number. I didn't put my number in there for 2026. I'm sorry. 21. Thank you. Resolution 21. Of 2026, which proposes converting a long vacant office building at 1171 South Cameron Street into a self-storage facility, along with constructing additional storage units and site improvement. Director Knight and the applicant, Storage 5, was represented by Stephen Taylor, who was the engineer of the project, the principal owner, Chris Catania, and the architect, John Clark. And they explained that the project would rehabilitate a property vacant for about 6 years, improving traffic flow and adding safety features like a better circulation through the parking lot, as well as pedestrian access. The Planning Commission recommended approval with the conditions, including compliance with the floodplain regulations and adding a dedicated pedestrian stairway. The council discussion focused on floodplain concerns with assurances that the new construction would meet elevation requirements, and the existing building is largely compliant as it sits today. The existing building is already at the required elevation, and new units will comply with the floodplain regulations to prevent water damage. The economic impact is to be 6 to 7 million, including with the construction investment, and they expect 50 to 100 construction jobs, including also giving 2 permanent jobs at the location. There was a strong emphasis from council members that the owner include minority, women, and locally owned businesses on their application. The developer noted that they would not be working with MBE contractors, but after questioning, the developer said that they misunderstood and that they would work with MBE people. They thought they were talking just about using minority engineers when they answered the question. Councilman Rodriguez and Councilwoman Rawls pressed to make sure that the applicant understood that being in a majority minority city, that it's important that you are open to work with MBE inclusion. After being pressed by Vice President Jones, the developer stated that he would present 50% of the construction jobs to local Harrisburg companies, especially for trades like plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. The applicant said that he chose Harrisburg due to the market opportunity, the availability of a vacant building at that location within a growing capital city, and also with ongoing infrastructure improvements. They are a Texas-based company, but operate multiple projects in Pennsylvania and nearby states. The company noted the developer's experience with similar projects on a national stage, and as a response to Councilwoman Davis, he stated that he will advertise the permanent jobs in the local job platforms. Council President Hill gained commitment from the applicant to make sure that he would follow the recommendations of the Planning Commission. Most of our questions focused on flood safety, the economic impact, and equitable local participation. The developer addressed his willingness to collaborate, and the developer agreed to connect with the city's diversity officer and consider local diverse businesses. Overall, council members were generally supportive, citing the reuse of a vacant building, the economic benefits, while encouraging strong local business participation. I recommend that council support this resolution, as it will bring a vacant building to new use and provide an economic impact in an area where development is a little slow. So thank you very much, and that concludes the business of the Business and Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. The final committee report you will hear this evening will be delivered by Chair Rawls on behalf of the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee on the work session of April 7th, 2026.
Thank you, President Hill, and good evening, everyone. On April 7th, 2026, the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee met to discuss Resolution 21 of 2026, which is a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Community Conservation Partnership Grant Program in conjunction with the Capital Area Greenbelt Association for up to $100,000 for funds to acquire real property in order to relocate a portion of the Capital Area Greenbelt in South Harrisburg. Deb Reinhart, project manager for the city of Harrisburg, and Doug Hill, president of CAGA, were present to provide an overview of the project. Mr. Hill outlined the current detour of the Greenbelt and reviewed ongoing efforts associated with Phase 1, which construction will hopefully begin on by spring next year. Mr. Hill then explained that he is before council today because the current grant acquisition applies to Phase 2 of the relocation of the Greenbelt. He described this portion of the project is more complex but essential to restoring full connectivity of the Greenbelt. This phase includes the development of a ramp structure to facilitate a continuous and accessible trail connection. He explained that CAGA intends to utilize the C2P2 funding to partially support the acquisition of property from Pensy Supply Incorporated. The proposed acquisition includes approximately 1.3 acres as well as a 0.4 acre right-of-way located along both sides of Sycamore Street in South Harrisburg. The C2P2 grant program requires a dollar-for-dollar match of up to $100,000. CAGA will be responsible for securing the required match and has indicated its intent to apply for a $75,000 grant through the Dauphin County Gaming Grant Program as part of this effort. There were no questions. No questions were raised by by members of council, and I asked my fellow council members to support Resolution 21 of 2026, and that concludes the business of the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Rawls. We do not have any ordinances for first reading. We have one ordinance for amendment, Bill 5 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Bill 5, 2026, an ordinance for giving and discharging 2024 and 2025 city real estate taxes, including interest, penalties, and costs, and striking off tax liens for certain historically tax-exempt properties.
Thank you. We have one ordinance for final passage, Bill 5 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record one final time?
Bill 5, 2026, an ordinance for giving and discharging 2024 and 2025 city real estate taxes, including interest, penalties, and costs, and striking off tax liens for certain historically tax-exempt properties.
Thank you. Council members, are there any final questions, comments, or concerns related to Bill 5 of 2026? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yay.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hill.
Yes.
Bill 5 of 2026 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. We will move forward with resolutions. The first resolution for consideration is Resolution 20 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 20, 2026, a resolution approving the preliminary/final land development plan for 1171 South Cameron Street, submitted by Chris Catania of Storage 5 Harrisburg, LLC, to convert the existing office building into a self-storage facility and to construct additional storage unit buildings on site and associated site and access improvements.
Thank you. Council members, are there any final questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 20 of 2026? Vice President Jones.
Yes, thank you, President Hill. I'm gonna vote in the affirmative for Resolution 20. However, I was a little reluctant, and I'm still a little concerned just through the line of questioning with Mr. Katina. But I know that this is a good move for the city. However, my concern is around the 50 to 100 jobs in the immediate local area of city of Harrisburg. And what he did say that he would be sharing 50% of that. And I just hope that we as a body keep an eye on that. I know we're not compliant, but the responses I received from that made me a little skeptical of voting in affirmative. However, I will be voting in the affirmative, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 20 of 2026? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yay.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hill.
Yes.
Resolution 20 of 2026 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 21 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 21 of 2026, a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Community Conservation Partnership Grant Program in conjunction with the Capital Area Greenbelt Association for up to $100,000 for funds to acquire real property in order to relocate a portion of the Capital Area Greenbelt in South Harrisburg.
Thank you. Council members, are there any final questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 21 of 2026? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yay.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hill.
Yes.
Resolution 21 of 2026 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 22 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 22 of 2026, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with McCormick Law Firm to serve as special counsel for the purpose of reviewing and revising the city's business, privilege, and mercantile tax ordinance and related regulations.
Thank you. Council members, are there any final questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 22 of 2026? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yay.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hill.
Yes.
Resolution 22 of 2026 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 23 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 23 of 2026, a resolution confirming the appointment of Mr. Antonio J. Magna to serve as business administrator for the city of Harrisburg.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules for discussion.
So no move.
Thank you. We had a movement and a second. Thank you. We are joined by Mr. Magna. If you wouldn't mind taking a few moments to introduce yourself, please.
Yes. Nice seeing everyone in council again. I'm Antonio Magna, special assistant in the business administrator's office. I can go in a little bit of my background if you want now, or we can wait.
You can, yes, please.
Okay. Before I was here at the city of Harrisburg, I was born and raised in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania in the area. I've lived here the majority of my life. I've spent a lot of time here in Harrisburg. I have many friends and family that live here, and that's really dear to my heart. I think there's two big things to know about me and my background. First, my primary driver is to help people. I find joy in serving for people and helping in any way I can to make sure that there's positive societal outcomes and that people get the resources that they need. The second aspect then is I'm a Central PA believer. I'm someone that, in Pennsylvania, everyone hears about Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and there's nothing wrong with those cities, but Central PA should have resources too, and we deserve a seat at the table as well in every aspect, and Harrisburg is a driver in that, obviously, as the biggest city in Central PA. So with that in mind, I'm a graduate of Mechanicsburg High School. Went on to get a bachelor's in public administration from the University of Phoenix. I have a master's in public policy from the University of Maryland. I worked for Gannett Fleming actually twice, and the resume I provided has the relevant experience where I worked on their energy department as a policy analyst, where I did many different long-term strategic planning for various municipalities and authorities. I also worked for them previously for 3 years in their human resources department. After Gannett Fleming, I was in the campaign world for a little bit, and then I came here because I wanted to serve the people of Harrisburg, and I felt, again, this is the best way that I can help people and make sure that Harrisburg and Central PA is on the map and getting resources and the things that we need. So that's a basic background, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So your resume shares that you have about 3+ years of public policy experience and 6+ years of community organizing experience and nearly 1 year of service at the city of Harrisburg. So you began your current role in July of 2025.
Correct.
Is that
Yep.
correct? Okay. Okay. Well, I do have a few questions, and then I'll open it up the floor to my colleagues who may have some additional questions for you. This first one, I'm not sure who can answer it. I was curious to know how many applications were received for the role.
And Antonio may know that.
Okay.
But I will note that I'm aware of, I believe, 2. One withdrew after the interview and took a job elsewhere. They were coming from out west and coming back to Pennsylvania. At least that was the interview. Whether that happened, I don't know, but they withdrew after the interview. Antonio may be able to speak to whether there's more. I will note before I came down here this afternoon, the mayor asked me, because she had an event with the governor late today, that if there were questions to speak on behalf of Antonio at this meeting, which I am prepared to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what made you interested in working for the city of Harrisburg after your campaign manager roles?
Yeah, I mean, but the biggest thing that drives me is just helping people and doing so in Central PA. when I was looking at roles after my campaign experience, like the campaign role is a very 24/7 sprint to November and then take a month off and then do it again kind of thing. I am not built for that world. So that pathway of trying to help people was just not meant for me. So I was looking at other opportunities, and I was looking at specifically municipal opportunities in the region. And one of the first ones I looked at was the city of Harrisburg, because I felt that with being the biggest municipality here, the one that everyone looks at for guidance and leadership amongst all the other municipalities, I thought that my skill set would be well served here, and that I could do a lot of good trying to help the residents of Harrisburg. So when I saw that there was, it took a little while for a role to pop up that I felt I was qualified for, but once one did pop up in the business administrator's office, I jumped on that and was able to get the job, luckily.
Okay. And I think this is my final question. Why are you the best candidate for the role of business administrator?
I think my background makes me the best candidate. I think that because I'm from here, I understand not only the people of Harrisburg, but people of the entire region. I also have experience working with municipalities as large as the city of Phoenix to as small as some of the boroughs and townships in Cumberland County. That it brings a sort of like a unique wealth of knowledge and experience to the position that not a lot of other people could potentially offer. And then additionally, I've worked with a lot of elected officials throughout the years. So I think there's a unique experience there where I can kind of understand what all of you up there sitting are, kind of questions you're receiving, the kind of, things you're going through on a day-to-day basis, as well as the mayor, and I can offer a lot of help with that.
Thank you. I don't think I have any other questions. I would like to open the floor to my colleagues who may have some additional questions for you. I'd like to begin with Vice President Jones.
Thank you, President Hill. I really don't have any questions for you, but I will share this with you. I will start out by looking at your resume, and I really believe in you. I believe that you will do a good job here working with the city of Harrisburg. However, I just also feel that at this time, I think it's too soon to take on the business administrator aspect, just for the simple fact that there's no one there with you. I know we had the previous BA, and with you being a special assistant to the BA, it's a good thing. It gave you an opportunity to learn some other things. And as President Hill stated in your resume, this is the longest standing municipal job that you had. Yes, you have some political background. It's different than running a municipality. And, for me, I hope you don't leave if you're not voted up. But for me, it would be a no at this time. I just think that you need someone there with you. I think this is a huge role. But I do believe and respect the work that you do. I like your age and this factor. I think you have a great road, a future ahead of you, but for me at this time, I would not be supporting this resolution at this time. Hopefully, we can give you, because I just don't know what you've done on your own. There's been a curtain up for us as council, so I really can't say what you have done on your own or what you haven't done. But I know after the business administrator left, you have filled in a role and took over some of the things that he has set forth, but I just don't know what you're able to do. So I would like to give you an opportunity, maybe in a 120-day role at that time, and then we can see what you can do on your own. But at this time, I can't support the resolution, but I do thank you for your service, and I think you're a bright and intelligent young man, and I know that the future is bright for you here in the city of Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Green.
Thank you, President Hill. Good evening, Antonio. Thank you for being here tonight. I'll start with the basic question of, do you live in the city of Harrisburg?
I do not. I live in Mechanicsburg, and that is something that I would ask that council, if approved, consider a waiver for me, because I actually, if I could truly pick, I would pick the city of Harrisburg to live here, but I'm involved in many different Cumberland County-based organizations that require you to live in Cumberland County to be involved in, and I would like to not leave those organizations.
Okay, so you wouldn't be planning to relocate. That was my next question. Mm-hmm. I know I've worked with you some before in the role as the special assistant to the business administrator. You're definitely good at what you do, and so I commend you for that. You don't have a lot of background as far as work in this area, which can be good or bad, right? We always talk about how we want fresh faces, we want young people, we want all of this, right? So it's kind of hard to look and say we want that and then also say you don't have enough experience for that. So I'm kind of torn here because you do good work and I like the work you do. You have the educational background for it, but you don't have a lot of long-term experience in any position. Every position that's listed here is like a year, right? And obviously I would hope we were looking for someone to be here longer than a year in this role. So I'm kind of torn at this moment. I'll continue to look at it. I definitely think that this would be something better on a work session. You know, like if we could hold off on voting on this tonight. I can tell you I'm not ready to vote on it tonight. If I would have to vote on it tonight, it probably would be, I don't even know. We'd have to wait. But, you know, it just kind of seems like we got the information and then it's the vote tonight. So I'm not ready to vote on it tonight, me personally. I'd like to ask you a few more questions, pick your brain a little more and kind of see how I feel you do in this role, just looking at your resume. It's not giving me the information I need to see how you do in this role, but knowing the work that you've done for the city and how you filled this role in a large capacity since the absence of the previous business administrator, that makes me lean towards saying you are ready for this role. But I'd have to kind of ask around a little more and see, you know, this is from the outside looking in, so I could go talk to people that you worked with and they could say he's done nothing. So, you know, just having a little more information would help me. I don't think that'd be the case, but right now I'm not ready to make this vote. I thank you for the work that you're doing right now, and I look forward to continuing to work with you.
And can I address the concerns about me not working long in any roles? So if I take you back to 2017, which is the role that I didn't include in my resume because it's not really relevant to this position, but I worked at Gannett Fleming from 2017 to 2020, and then I left that role because I was furloughed due to COVID. So I went and got my master's degree during that time period. After the master's degree, I work again for Gannett Fleming in the energy department. That role I ended up leaving because they let me go because they were brought out by private equity firms, and the private equity firms determined that the energy department was not worth investing in. So they laid off the entire department, which included me. And then after that, I filled in some political roles, which naturally have an end date with the election, and then now I'm here. So I understand the concern, but what I would say is that you know, my priorities are to help people and ideally to serve the city of Harrisburg. And in that capacity, I would hope that I could stay as long as possible.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions at the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Before I move to Councilman Lawson, Solicitor Grover, could you please clarify why we need to vote on this resolution tonight?
Certainly, the city code section, I wrote it down somewhere, 2-301.5A has a provision in it, and I can't speak to when it was formed because it's been there a long time, that the mayor may ask the council in writing, which she did, to approve an appointment of one of the department head levels with 7 days written notice and approve it at the next meeting, or the person is automatically approved. I can speculate as to why that provision was put into the city code way back when, but it's there. You know, my guess is it's to keep it moving, because someone has to usually transfer into a job so that they know they have the appointment and can move forward and make the commitment. But I don't really know. It's been on the books for a very long time. So basically a new department head comes in, they get immediate approval, so they can the government can move forward. That is what it's there for, as far as I can tell. But the mayor exercised that authority. Her office sent down a request, I think last Monday, to the council to consider Mr. Menga at this point in time. It's basically because she's been frank. They've had no resumes for economic development director. They've had no resumes for alert administrator, and she is concerned about getting, you know, positions filled. And this is someone there. I mean, you know, that's her operational concerns are valid. I mean, it is hard to fill positions right now, not just here. So she would like to basically know that the future is set, at least here, for this particular position, so that she can move forward in pulling together other management. I will say I think Antonio's, with what he does, has done a very good job. I've been here a long time. I've been in the practice of law for almost 40 years. He is strong, diligent. He is good with people. He is good at problem solving. I have never met a person who applied for the business administrator job who ever met all of the credentials in law that's laid out, because if you did, you'd be in some private company making $350,000 a year. I mean, that's simply the reality. The person who was hired under Mayor Papenfuss applied to be the deputy solicitor, right? That was the application that came in, and he ended up being hired as the business administrator. It's a tough position to fill for what the demands are for local government. That is reality. In the borough manager, township manager, city manager world here and nationally, they have moved to like associations and job boards, and it's a position that fights all over the country now to get people filled. And there's people that do bounce around the country, but then they bounce. They stay. It's basically a ladder climbing thing to increase your salary over the years if you're there. So they're tough. And we had one of those under Mayor Thompson. That's exactly what we had. We had someone that was brought in by the receiver. They lasted about 14 months, and then they were gone. And they ended up appointing a sitting employee for that job. So, but that is why she's made this decision, as I understand it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. I just wanted to be clear that it was not just willy-nilly. There was a reason. Okay, Councilman Lawson, do you have any questions?
Thank you, President Hill. Yes, I do. Antonio, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
All right. You thought you were leaving the political sphere, but you're not. You're here.
Everything's politics.
Absolutely. I do have a couple questions, and first, we want to. One of the questions, of course, on everyone's mind is, what have you been doing, as you've been quasi working this role, and just to get a sense for how far into this you're in, or you just working with what was left behind and you've just kind of followed that, or are you currently working on new initiatives? Give us like just a quick summary of what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do it quick because there's over 30 things on my list that I'm trying to work on a daily, weekly, at this point, monthly basis. But to just do it really quick, I mean, yeah, the big ticket items are we're working on trying to get the budget going earlier this year. That was an initiative that I started. We're if approved, we're ideally moving forward May 1st with our department meetings, which is about 1 to 2 months earlier than normal. Where you have to make sure that we are long-term planning. That's the biggest reason why I'm doing this early, is because one of the things that I realized as soon as I came in day one, some departments do a great job at planning out 5+ years ahead of time. Others, I think we need to start thinking about it a little bit more strategically. So that's something that we want to get started. On another end, there's a lot of different other initiatives that I did, have to kind of run with as soon as we came in. One of those is we're trying to look at our, our energy spending on our various accounts. And with that, soon here, hopefully, there's going to be a contract and a proposal made that, will save us tens of thousands of dollars per month on our energy bills. So, that's still in the works, but that's something that was started, pre-January, and that I've kind of picked up and run with now to we're about to be completed. So there's a lot of things like that. What I would say is that, I have, and as you might have seen in my emails to each of you, I have 3 main priorities that I'm hoping to kind of like take the torch and lead with as new initiatives. One of those is the budget one that I just talked about. Another one is kind of improving and modernizing our city processes. So with that, what I saw at a lot of other municipalities that I've worked with in the past is that they, even larger ones, can be pretty efficient because of the way they do approvals, the way that they have very strict, these exact people are doing these type of approvals. Here's the primary, here's the secondary on that. We don't really have a super specific system like that, and that's something that I'm looking to potentially implement. So that way, when vendors maybe are looking for payment, or when we're trying to get something pushed through for approvals, people know exactly what to look for and can either deny something quickly because they see something wrong because they know about it, or they can approve it quickly and keep it moving. So that's something I want to look at. And then lastly is the communication with City Council, each of you in the clerk's office. I think that the business administrator position is the perfect bridge position to kind of communicate with City Council, the mayor, and the administration, because, frankly, like, I'm involved in every conversation at some point in time, basically, that the city is having. So I kind of know a lot of the things that are going on. With that, I'm hoping to start doing like at least monthly reports that would go out to each of you and the mayor as well, so that you're working off of the same information for decision making. If I get approved and I can get a special assistant, then maybe I can do that even bi-weekly or weekly, depending on how efficient we get. But with that, it's also just building up relationships. As I did with the email, that will continue moving forward with offering meetings with each of you. It's just a matter of making sure that everyone is informed and making the most informed decisions. So those would be my 3 priorities, and all of those things have kind of been in the works in some capacity already.
Okay, thank you. And just for edification, who would you work for?
I mean, I technically would report to the mayor, but I mean, my primary concern is making sure that the city is operating at an efficient level and a level that is best for the residents of Harrisburg.
Okay, great. And can you tell the mayor no?
Yes. Now, of course, now the mayor does have final say on nearly everything, because that's the administrative power of the mayor. But I can tell her no on many things, and I can at least advise her no on others.
Right. Well, that's one of the concerns that people would have with someone with youth is, would you be able to talk truth to power when necessary? Because we need to make sure that the mayor is receiving good counsel and not just someone who wants to keep their job. And that's going to be an important aspect if you're selected for that job, that you understand that, yes, you do report to the mayor, but you work for the people. And sometimes, even with the best intentions, we must tell our employer, no, that's not a great idea. Again, the mayor will have final say, but if you're not giving her a no, you're not servicing her and you're not servicing the city. So that's why it's important that we have that in there. And then, well, you actually answered the question with the conversations with council, so you'll be willing to stay transparent and give us information as we need it. So with that, President Hill, that's all that I have for questioning.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rawls, any questions?
Thank you, President Hill. Good evening, Mr. Ragna. Thank you for joining us today and answering our questions. I actually have a few questions, and some of mine have already been answered too. So my first question was, what have you accomplished solely? And you answered just a little bit, but if you want to expand some more, but what have you accomplished solely since stepping up in this position?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is the stuff that's kind of in the works. I've only kind of been stepping into the role since January, but even that has been like, I take certain responsibilities. Some of it is still the mayor's final decision. I would say that the biggest things are the budget-related decisions and the energy bills, because those are both decisions that are potentially going to help save the city tens of thousands to more dollars, and also help us kind of come up with more long-term strategic planning, which I think is a very much needed thing when we're talking about, we're still Act 47. We need to work our way eventually out of that. We need to find ways to create more revenues. And with all of that, it's just working with all the departments, which I have begun with, but it just hasn't simply been enough time in the position to finish those roles. So that's effectively what I'm asking for, is the time to do that. But yeah, other than that, I think a lot of the other things have frankly been things that have already started. There's not too much that has been able to be new, because there's just so many things going on a day-to-day basis.
Or as you said before, you were saying you were completing some things that Mr. Sokolsky had started. And the 2 things you just mentioned are things you would like to implement: the energy bills and the early speaking with departments about the budget. So those are 2 things you would want to implement and see come through. But as of right now, you haven't been able to start fully your own initiatives and complete them.
Right, yeah, and some of that is just because I'm simply not the business administrator at the moment, so I don't necessarily have the authority to do that.
Okay. All right, thank you. My other question was, what does being a business administrator or the business administrator of Harrisburg mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit what I spoke before. It's kind of like the bridge position. It's a decision. It's a position that I think you have to think of it like what does the city need, but also what do the residents need, and finding the best path forward that can help both the city and the residents the best way possible. So it's a unique position where I can kind of get to be involved in a lot of different capacities, in a lot of advisory ways and a lot of approval ways, where we can kind of look at and say, you know, hey, is this something that is ultimately good for the city and good for the residents? If so, let's figure out a way to get it done. And if not, let's find a way to either adjust it or not do it at all. And I think that's the exact type of position that I want to be in, to be able to, like I said, help people and push Harrisburg forward.
Okay. My other question was, how will you show integrity in this position?
Yeah, I mean, I think the integrity just comes through getting the work done, making sure that I'm always responding to people, which I always try to do, and make sure that everyone is kind of in the loop with what's going on, providing reports, answering phone calls, things like that. But then also making sure that the confidentiality nature of this position is respected. I think there's a lot of information that it comes through the office that isn't necessarily public information, isn't necessarily information to be shared, and it's a matter of making sure that I'm sharing the information that needs to be shared, and frankly not for the other confidential information. And I think I've done a good job at that, and I hope to continue that.
Okay. I guess my last question, it might be for legal. I don't know, you might have kind of already answered it with why this resolution came down. We have to vote on it tonight. But I'm going to ask it anyway, because maybe it will clarify even more for us in the public. I think my thing was, I'm not ready to vote on this that much either tonight. Thank you for your questions. I don't know if I'm a yes or a no. I guess my concern is there are things you have started that I would love to see how you finish. I would love to see how do you start those budget meetings early. I think that's a great idea, so that we are proactive and not reactive. So I love that idea that you're starting them in May and starting to see what department heads are thinking about, what they want in their budgets, how they want to accomplish these. I mean, that is like goal setting at its finest. So I would love to see how you interact with these department heads and how you're able to get that work done. And what does that look like when the budget comes up that year? Does it look different for us? Is it easier? Is it smoother? Are you able to help us bring back quarterly meetings with the directors where they come and speak to us? Because that even helps with budgeting. So I feel like I'm not able to see you fully accomplish that as in a probational role. I think that 100 or up to 120 days is so important to see how people really complete tasks. This is a huge role. This is not a hasty decision. So I just would love to see how you would, complete that, and how you would then implement the 3 initiatives that you spoke about. Like, will you bridge the gap with the communication and, So I guess my question is, there's no way that he's allowed that Mr. Magna and for him as well, being able to serve in that position for up to 120 days, and then for us to give our consent.
So the mayor has exercised her authority under the code, under the city law. And the thing I would differ with you, and I think it's because we've had the 120-day discussion, is that's not about a probationary period. That's not about a maximum time of appointment before council gets to act. The council previously has voted. The council has previously voted on people immediately being brought in, and part of that is so you can get people to come in, right? Because if they're leaving another job, I don't know too many people leave a job that come in for 4 months to see if it works out, especially if they have skill sets that are valuable. That's simply the reality. But it's not a probationary period. I mean, you can see it that way, but that's not the design. That was the maximum time for council had added that to the code to leave someone in that role. I mean, you guys have had the legal argument about it, but it isn't a probationary period. It's when the mayor makes the appointment and how the person can fulfill the duties. The police and fire were pretty much immediate when they were appointed, and they were there when they came
I
in.
wasn't here for that.
I got that the solicitor was immediate. I mean, that was the reality. It's simply not that way. I know how because of your time here, you see that can be how it can be.
Well, it should be. I think that's a great way because in a way you get to see how someone performs. So, I mean, we can wordplay on what probation means, but in a way it is to see, I would think it is to see how someone performs in a certain role. Even for the mayor, if they don't do what it is, she or he or she thinks they are performing up to, they may even give us the recommendation of, or they may not, they won't appoint them. They won't send it down. So you saw what they did in this amount of time and you decided, they're not a fit. I don't know, that sounds like probation, but if that's not the legal word for it, then fine, but it is still to see how someone fits in a certain role.
But it is for the mayor. I mean, if it's not working out, the mayor can fire a director. If
yes,
it's not
we've seen that, yes.
I'm saying if it's not working out, that's the mayor's authority, right? So it's not a probationary period for the mayor. It's, are you performing the functions I've tasked you to do in your role? I mean, and that's any mayor has that power, right? That's why the voters put that executive power in one person. And hiring and firing is an executive power.
Okay. Still in so would you, okay, thank you. So you answered no. What you said is the loophole is the she's given an executive decision to have it voted on tonight.
Yes, she's exercised the authority the law gave her.
Okay, right, and you did say there, so I was just seeing if there was anything else. It's just hard to vote so hastily. It's not a hasty decision. I don't want to just say, okay, just because you're there, Mr. Magna, let's say yes. I want you to also have room to show all the things you can do. And I think it's unfair to you too, to just be like, oh, yep, you're there, here you go, without you being able to come back and say, listen, thank you for giving me this time. Look what I can show you that I was able to do on my own. Not just because, Mr. Sokolsky was not confirmed and that whole thing that happened. And you stepped up, which thank you. So that was one thing you did show, so that you should put that as an accomplishment. I had to quickly step up, and here's the things that I did when I quickly stepped up. Here are some of the things I finished. Now let me show you all what I can do when I'm not just quickly stepping up, but you've placed me in this role, and you're letting me show you in this amount of time what else I can do. So I think it's unfair to you too. So, well, I don't have any more questions. I'm not ready. I have no idea what I'm gonna vote on because it's just unfair to Mr. Magna and us in the city. Thank you. That's it for me, President Hill.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Magna, for joining us this evening and your dedicated, position and what you've done thus far and your willingness to serve in this new capacity. I guess my sentiments and my lining of questioning is coming from my experience because I have kind of worked with you a bit since your role. I know this is a statutory position by a third-class city charter, correct, Neil?
It is, and it's in the city code. It's not mandated you have one. It's mandated that if you have a Department of Business Administration, you have a business administrator.
Okay. I'm just speaking from my experience. I can't speak from all the departments, but I know with the trash bill forgiveness program, when Sam was on his way out, anytime I reached out for numbers or, the city clerk, reached out on my behalf, you expedited them over and was able to come to some resolve, which helped me actually, present those numbers live on the floor for council and residents that asked. Also, there were quite a few residents that came in that had either abandoned properties or, kind of vacant properties that were getting charged, and you helped me with those resident services as well. So I've actually seen you on your feet, moving on the fly. I'm not sure if my fellow colleagues were able to, get a chance to work with you in that capacity, but I've also sat in many meetings, whether it was regarding the pool or other initiatives where you actually spearheaded. So I do appreciate that, and I actually just got word that you played a huge role in the bargaining agreement and got those numbers expedited over and played a big role. So I do understand what council's saying because experience means a lot in this role. It's a pretty serious, position in the city, but how do we get experience given the opportunity? We gotta, at one point everyone up here needed that chance to gain the experience. But your education shows that you're a great fit, and the 1 year you've played in the role you have played, just from my personal experience, you've done, substantially great. So I guess my one question, how do you plan on working with, the diverse group of directors that are currently sitting in their roles and bring them together and be that great liaison for council? Because that's a hiccup we've hit quite often. How do you plan to maybe not fix it, but be that hero in that role?
Right, yeah. I think one of the things I would like to do is, something that I had started talking about at the beginning of the year is just from the business administrator's perspective, having monthly meetings at a minimum with not only the directors, but then their deputies if they have them, and maybe in like their managers. So that way that we have a good idea of what's going on. We can kind of help direct them to, okay, like this is something that's important that I think council will care about, put that in your report, and then we can highlight that when we send it over, like, hey, this is what the department's doing. On top of that, that would be another thing I'd like to do is when we send over the reports, not just send the reports of, here's a whole bunch of documents, here's like 100 pages, good luck finding the important information. It's like, okay, well, here's all the documents with all the information, but here's also like some of the key highlights, in my opinion at least, that you might want to take a look at, On top of that, it's just going to be as questions come in, just working between each of you and the department heads and the various deputies and managers, depending on who's dealing with the issue, and making sure that, answers are getting expedited and making sure that, everything is being answered on a timely manner so that you can respond to residents as they have questions, or you can come here during a council meeting and give a report.
Now, I've had the opportunity to work with a really good BA, and the former Daniel Hartman that was here did a phenomenal job, and I didn't get too much experience with Mr. Sokowski. It's just a bit, difficult to get on the same page. Are you willing, if council has questions, no matter the time of night, because sometimes constituent services really has no timeline, and when they need answers, we need to present and produce. Would you be willing to work with us in that capacity, regardless of time of night or how tall the task is? Would you be willing to go the extra mile with us to try to get those constituent services, attended to?
Absolutely. And that was one of the reasons why I provided each of you with my personal cell. I want to be accessible to each of you so I can answer the questions that you're receiving as you're receiving them.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I have nothing further, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
Thank you, President Hill, and good evening, Mr. Magna. Thank you for being here this evening. My questions were answered, but I will ask one. The previous BA was very good at obtaining grants. He was very well knowledge and proficient at obtaining grants. How do you feel about applying for grants, and what are some of the other ways you plan to create revenue for the city?
Yeah, I think with the grant question, I feel very comfortable working with grants. I've done it in previous roles, especially again at Fleming, kind of looking at any possibilities of getting any sort of funding from there. But on top of that, we are working with multiple different, right now, multiple different grant opportunities. We're looking at, various opportunities in the future about can we apply for a grant that we didn't before? Does it apply to anything here? We're looking at federal grants even, despite what may or may not happen on the federal level on a daily basis. So yeah, we're exploring all options there and making sure that the directors and their managers are all in the loop on what might apply to them. And as far as revenues are concerned, we're certainly exploring those options. I think one of the big things, and if I remember correctly, I think this is something that maybe Dan Harmon might have been starting, was trying to get the trash bill collection rates a little higher. So that's something that I think I'd like to sit down with the Public Works team and try to figure out. Obviously we have the forgiveness program, and that has been successful in making sure that people are paying more than are paying that when they weren't before. But there's still some other strategies that we could potentially implement. But it's a little hard to specifically say what we're going to do because there's a lot of moving parts, and it's one of those things where there's certain tax, like tax revenues that if we open up to change it, we have to be very careful about how we change it. And that was why, Mr. Hughes was here with the attorney, last week and trying to get, that review. So that'll all be part of our full review of what we can do.
And so would you say that if this is a priority for you, obtaining grants and looking for monies for the city?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. My other questions were answered, so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have maybe two more questions. One, should you be successful in becoming the new business administrator, do you feel that you have your current role would be vacant? Do you feel that you would have enough support by moving on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, between the directors, and their staff, I feel fully supported from them. And I would also look to hopefully hire a special assistant as well to help take some things off my plate so that I can be just more efficient and answer questions faster even. But, I do feel I would have the support.
Okay. And then my final question, really not a question, is there anything else that you would like to share before we resume our legislative session and vote on this resolution?
No, I don't think so. I think I've covered my background well, and I think I've covered what my priorities would be. And I just appreciate all of your questions and consideration.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to resume our legislative session.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Before us, we have Resolution 23 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record one final time?
Resolution 23, 2026, a resolution confirming the appointment of Mr. Antonio J. Megna to serve as business administrator for the city of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Council members, are there any final questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 23 of 2026? Sure. Councilwoman Rawls.
I just have one thing to say. I mean, given the hasty decision I have to make, I really just had to sit and just think about what I've seen that Mr. Magna has done, the things he does want to accomplish. But I'm going to vote yes because I do like the way that he at least stepped up to try to fill the role in an untimely manner for himself. I'm just disappointed that we had to make the decision so fast and that we weren't given enough time. And the city wasn't given enough time to say, this is what he looks like in this role. I'm going to move him up. Here he goes. This is what he can do, instead of having an executive decision to fill it right now. Because even if we were given the time, he would have still been in the position. I know that the mayor said that she needed this position filled so tasks could be taken off of her because there was decisions that need to be made with unions and contracts and things of that nature, and I agree to that. But he still could have sat in the position for up to 120 days. I know it's not a probational period, but it sounds like one, and been able to still do those things for us to see as a city how he performs. So we did not have to make this decision tonight. He could have been in that position and still fulfill those roles, and still we would have been able to see how he could have performed. So, but I'm gonna say yes to it when the vote comes around because he did step up and he didn't have to. That's it for me.
Any other final? Yes, Councilman Lawson.
I'm just reiterating Councilwoman Rawls' sentiment. I understand that we didn't need to put him in a acting position, but I would have liked the idea of going through the typical work session and then legislative to make the decision. But at the same time, that's not an Antonio thing. So I'm not going to blame that on Mr. Magna. And so I just wanted to put that out there that I do believe that he was put in an unfair position because it may sway the sentiment of some of council just because of the way that it was presented. I understand it. That's the mayor's prerogative. She can do it as she wants to, and she should. But I would have rather we had a typical, just cycle on this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other final questions, comments, or concerns? I do have some comments. Councilwoman Green is correct. I have said several times in the past that we need fresh faces and youthful talent as a part of our workforce and volunteers on boards and commissions. I believe that these fresh faces and youthful talent offer different perspectives that sometimes we don't consider. However, in this instance, I also believe that a role should have more than 2 applicants or 1 by default, because I think it's only fair to truly determine someone's strengths. Much of Mr. Magna's work experience is campaign related, which isn't really relevant to the role of the business administrator, as the campaign work is very temporary, as he mentioned, of a role. I also have some concerns regarding his lack of interest in relocating to the city of Harrisburg. I feel, maybe it's my personal passion for the city, if you truly believe in this city so much, why not reside here? I do share the sentiments of my colleagues. I think that this is a difficult decision, and then to know, of course, that this is the default candidate. You've been here and you have been doing the work, so thank you for the work that you've done. However, I believe in equity and I like options. And to really not be given that opportunity is frustrating, so I wish you well in your future endeavors in this role or not. And I feel like I was prepared to vote no. I'm being very honest. But I feel like the city needs a business administrator. We all know that. That's not, it's not a surprise, right? So if you are passionate about this role, I do hope that you are here longer than a year, as some of your other roles. But I think that I will be voting yes just so that the role is filled. I'm hopeful that we can work together, and with your assistance, we can work with the department directors and the mayor and all members of her administration to improve communication and fulfill the 2 goals that I've set around transparency and accountability. So those are my final thoughts. Any other final comments, questions? Okay. Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
I'm gonna go with a yes. I wanna see what he does in the role. He's ambitious, and I like that. So I wanna see what he does in it, so it's a yes.
Mr. Jones,
Nay.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Rolls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hill.
Yes.
Resolution 23 of 2026 passes by a vote of 6-1.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 24 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 24, 2026, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Harrisburg reestablishing Hotspot Saturdays, a community beautification and public safety initiative designed to encourage city residents and community partners to participate in 5 community cleanup events throughout the summer of 2026.
Thank you. Resolution 24 of 2026 will move to the Public Works Committee. Next, we have Resolution 25 of 2026.
Resolution 25, 2026, a resolution appointing Ms. Rhonda E. Mays to serve on the Redevelopment Authority Board of the City of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Resolution 25 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Next, we have Resolution 26 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 26, 2026, a resolution appointing Ms. Salima H. Chapman to serve on the Redevelopment Authority Board of the City of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Resolution 26 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Next, we have Resolution 27 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 27, 2026, a resolution appointing Mr. Patrick V. D. to serve on the Building and Housing Code Board of Appeals of the City of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Resolution 27 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Next, we have Resolution 28 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 28 of 2026, a resolution reappointing Ms. Evelyn Hunt to serve on the License and Tax Appeal Board.
Thank you. Resolution 28 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Next, we have Resolution 29 of 2026. Could you please read it into the record, Mr. Truesdale?
Resolution 29 of 2026, a resolution appointing Mr. Stephen M. Ketterer to serve on the License and Tax Appeal Board.
Thank you. Resolution 29 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 30 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 30 of 2026, a resolution reappointing Mr. Dan A. Shoulder, Esquire, to serve on the License and Tax Appeal Board.
Thank you. Resolution 30 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Next, we have Resolution 31 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 31 of 2026, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a lease agreement with the Harrisburg School District for a certain tract of land with a parcel ID of 09-063-005, commonly known as the Vernon Street Park. Said tract of land being improved with a playground, pavilion, and recreation area in order to allow the city to make certain improvements and continue the operation thereof.
Thank you. Resolution 31 of 2026 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Resolution 32 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 32 of 2026, a resolution ratifying the submission of a grant application to the National Environmental Health Association in the amount of $16,500 for the purpose of attending training opportunities and initiating a risk factor study to determine trends in the occurrence of foodborne illness in certain facilities within the City of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Resolution 32 of 2026 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Next, we have Resolution 33 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 33 of 2026, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to submit and enter into a sidewalk and mural maintenance and roadway lighting agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation in relation to the improvements to the McClay Street Bridge and authorizing the designation of the city engineer as the sole signatory of the agreement.
Thank you. Resolution 33 of 2026 will move to the Public Works Committee. Next, we have Resolution 34 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 34 of 2026, a resolution ratifying an adoption agreement amendment for the non-uniform municipal employees retirement system with the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System to extend the superannuation retirement known as the Rule of 80, effective January 1st, 2026.
Thank you. Resolution 34 of 2026 will move to the Administration Committee. Our final resolution for consideration this evening is Resolution 35 of 2026. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 35, 2026, a resolution of the Council of the City of Harrisburg ratifying and approving the 2026 through 2028 collective bargaining agreement between the City of Harrisburg and the Fraternal Order of Police, Capital City Lodge Number 12.
Thank you. Resolution 35 of 2026 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Is there any old business for discussion, council members? Okay. Okay, seeing and hearing none, any new business? Seeing and hearing none, the time is 7:34 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
No moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.